years from now,
Okay.
when Steph hangs it up and there's a statue, and Draymond hangs it up and there's boxing gloves, and Clay hangs it up and he's no longer here, in 2028, and they're all gone, Joe Lacob will make this team still be good.
I buy what you're saying.
By hook or by crook.
I buy what you're saying. However, I do raise an eyebrow when I hear him, as he kind of did in the Bob Myers press conference, like, that's what we do. We'll be good. We'll be good no matter what. But it's hey, take it easy. It's not like you don't have Steph Curry. We've watched this, right? Bill Belichick's the greatest of all time. Do it without Tom and give me a call.
Sure.
It's not that easy. You can be a good organization and you can be good. You can't be great unless you've got the dude. And that's not easy to find. So we'll see.
Yeah.
The other emotion I have when you bring that up is, I don't care about 2028. Like, that feels so long from now.
Sure.
Yes, you have to plan for it, but I don't think you can obsess about it, especially now when you have twilight time for an all-time great.
Yeah.
Multiple all-time greats, but really, really like an all-time great.
Well, it's about the three of them. It's Steph, Clay, and Dre, the longest tenured trio in the association, and they've got 4, and they want 5, and if they get 5, I'm sure they'd love to have 6, and so that, to me, has more weight than 2028, 2029. You're right, and if I'm Joe Lacob, I'm thinking about that, but at the same time, I'm thinking, I've got Steph Curry, top 10 player all time. I've got these 3 guys playing together who have won almost more titles together than any other trio ever. I mean, you've got a Boston trio, you got the Bulls, you got the Lakers, and then you got San Antonio.
Yeah.
End of list. I mean, these guys are them. They've done it. So I'm going to do everything I can to get them further up that list.
So Tim Kawakami, The Athletic, comes on yesterday, and here's the other thing. This isn't, for me, this is no longer about who starts. If Allen wins dinner, he wins dinner.
But who stays, right?
That too.
Yeah.
But like obsessing over, I know a lot of people have blow off the conversation about whether or not Chris Paul is going to start, because who cares? In the end, right? It's the first 5 minutes of the game. Are we really going to lose our minds? No, I'm not. But it's more about the underlying issue that leads to that answer. Okay? So listen to what Kawakami says here, and then we're going to the phones.
Chris Paul needs to see it. He deserves the respect of seeing it before anything is imposed upon him. And then they hope not to impose it on him. They hope that he comes to that conclusion along with the rest of them. And that involves Steph Curry, Draymond Green, all of them. I think what the Warriors are hoping and believing, and this is really the Warriors' way, is it's all kind of agreed to. You see it on the court. Look, you could have more energy running that second unit. Maybe you close some games with Steph and Clay. Maybe you don't, but get the feel of this before we're going to put a Hall of Famer on the bench for the first time. That's how Steve Kerr does stuff. And, you could just hear it when he was talking to me. I could feel it. I knew that was the way they're going to approach it. No, we'll see what Chris Paul says about all this, and maybe he doesn't agree, but it makes sense. The lineup makes sense with the starting 5 from last year. That is statistically a tremendous starting 5. Makes sense and positionally and all the things they do. And then have Chris Paul be coming right off that bench with whatever 6-minute mark at the first quarter, lead the second unit into the second quarter, and then you see what the best group is from there.
If that's the way Steve Kerr does things, I have no reason to be worried or get in the way. Steve Kerr does things very, very well. He's a great coach. He's a great NBA man. So there's that. But in this particular case, if you're waiting for Chris Paul to get there and he doesn't, then what do you do? That's my question, because when I listen to Tim talk, this is what I hear. I hear there's a whole organization that knows that Chris Paul needs to come off the bench, except for Chris. And we're just going to wait, and we'll make sure he gets there. But then if he doesn't, what are you going to do?
You pick him up and you take him up and put him in his crib. And maybe this is me dealing with a baby, but this morning you tell the baby,
goo.
Thank you, Mila, Milky, it's bedtime, and she crawls away. It's like, okay. And she comes back, milk. Okay, you can have some milk, and then it's bedtime. And you crawl away a second time. It's like, you know what? Crawl away one more time. We're going to bed. And she crawls away a third time, and now I got to go up and give it the double underarm scoop, put the sleep sack on, and it's over. And if it's Chris Paul, I'm not saying he's a baby, He's a 17-year vet, but Chris, you need to come off the bench. Nah, I'm good. I'm going to start. Chris, we're better with you off the bench. Nah, I'm good. I'm going to start. Okay, Chris, here's your sleep sack. You're our sixth man. So I do think that there's a time, there's a framework, there's a timeline, and dealing with a 1-year-old is different than dealing with a 38-year-old, kind of.
As long as we get to the right answer, I don't care.
Right.
Take as much time as you want.
I didn't have 4 weeks, Mark. I had about 17 minutes this morning.
If the guy goes over to the scorer's table and crosses Kevon Looney's name out before they announce the starting lineup,
you go to your room.
And with his chicken scratches, he puts Chris Paul in there, and he comes running through the tunnel. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Jonathan in the city. Hey, Jonathan, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What's up, Jonathan?
How's it going, guys? You kind of talked me into it, Mark, because I still got high hope for Jonathan Kuminga. I was hoping that maybe the Warriors could train him and he becomes, a more aggressive Andrew Wiggins. But then again, like you said, it's all about getting the fifth for Steph and Dre and maybe Clay. So, hey, F them picks, Chris Paul, bye-bye. Yeah, do it. Let's do it. Why not?
So we convinced you from the time you got on hold, because your comments next to your name say don't trade Kuminga. So something was said while you were on hold that changed your mind.
Yeah, you were saying that they've been watching a guy for years. And it's like, yeah, that's right. They don't really see what they're seeing. So, yeah, maybe he's not the guy, because if he is the guy, why would they give up on him?
Well, here's what I would say, Jonathan, and thank you very much. I want to be clear. I'm not down on Jonathan Kuminga. I don't think that the Warriors are down on Jonathan Kuminga. This is just a situation where when a great opportunity shows up and there's an opportunity to get a very good player, sometimes it has to hurt a little bit. Okay? Lucas offered me a fantasy trade on my way in today. It's a horrible trade. He wants to get something awesome without it hurting. It doesn't work that way. You want awesome, it's got to hurt a little bit. Kuminga, I grant you, it would hurt a little bit. I like Jonathan Kuminga. I think there could be something there. Do I think it's a superstar? I do not. But who cares what I think? It's not that.
Right.
It's that you want Jrue Holiday. I want Jrue Holiday. It's not about being down on Kuminga. I want Jrue Holiday on the team.
There are 46 players this year who are characterized as stars according to the load management system, and Jrue Holiday is one of them, and Jonathan Kuminga is not. So will he be on this list someday? I hope so, which means you're either All-NBA in the last 3 years or an All-Star in the last 3 years. One of those two criteria is what makes you a star now, and I think Jonathan Kuminga has a chance to get to that point
maybe
at some juncture in his career. Now, will it be while Steph is still here? Probably not. So if that's your calculus and you can bring in Jrue Holiday, who is a star, and he's younger than Chris Paul also is a star on this list, but he's not going to be able to help you as much as Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, 38-year-old version of. Scott Marin, real quick. Hey, Scott, what's going on?
Yeah, hey, real quick. I think you guys got to take a look at Jrue's actual production. If you saw him last year in the playoffs, he was not good at all. And my brother-in-law is from Racine, Wisconsin. Big Bucks man. You watch all the games. I don't pay attention to the Bucks much, but Jrue, if you go back and do some research on him, and the fans think he's a terrible playoff performer. In fact, if you look at his stats, they aren't very good. So I think you need to. He's a great defender, no question about it. He's been a great defender, but he got cooked last year too. So and he's got high mileage on him. He's what, 33 years old? Is that correct?
33 years old, same age as Clay and Dre.
Right, but he's got some mileage on him too, and offensively he's been terrible in the playoffs. I suggest you go check that out and check some of his tape from last year. Did you watch the playoffs last year?
Yeah, of course I did, Scott.
Every dribble, Scott.
Here's what I would say, and thank you for the call. Like, really? You're going to make decisions in the future based on the 4 games he played in a playoff series last year? You know what I mean? Christian McCaffrey was hurt 2 years in a row. The Niners didn't blink. Well, what about the history?
That was also a historically good Jimmy Butler series.
Yeah.
One of the greatest series of all time.
Like, dude, the league is salivating over acquiring Jrue Holiday. The league's freaking out right now. This guy's a really good player. Really, really good player.